What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dante's Boxing Nation. This is AK. Go ahead and visit ashkickit.com and subscribe below while you at it, and let's get straight to it.
So the first time in history, two fighters with two gold medals met in the professional ring, even though this fight wasn't on an even playing field, because we all know Rigondeaux was 2 weight under. He was the older person, perhaps even 39 years old, not even 37. And he wasn't as active as Lomachenko. He was fighting like once a year, and his last fight went 1 round. So of course, his timing and all that wasn't up to par. However, Lomachenko lived up to the expectations, and Rigondeaux didn't, because Rigondeaux knew what he was getting himself into when he was first calling out Lomachenko. You know, Rigondeaux, even if he would have even got knocked out in the first round, in the 6th round, in the 12th round, it wouldn't even matter. Because at the end of the day, he took a gamble and everybody respected him. But the way he went out, people lost respect for Rigondeaux. However, Lomachenko displayed his skills. Even though he's fighting a smaller fighter, he still showed a lot of his skills and what he could do. Because a lot of people seem to believe that's not the Rigondeaux that we are accustomed to seeing. And they even go as far as saying Rigondeaux took a dive. The reason behind that is Lomachenko. Like I said before, Rigondeaux is not moving up 2 weight divisions to fighting a brawler or a fighter who has less skills than him. He's fighting a 2-time gold medalist, a guy who literally lost like 1 fight in the amateurs, and one of the top fighters in the pros. So of course it was due to Lomachenko, and also the age and the disadvantages that Rigondeaux had going into the fight. But I recall when the X-Man Walters, before he even fought Lomachenko, he did an interview saying that he will die in the ring. He ain't afraid of no Lomachenko. He ain't afraid of no man, period. That he will die in the ring, like I said. Then they offered him the Lomachenko fight. He turned it down because he felt like they lowballed him as far as the money. But then they starved him out, and they didn't even give him no fights after that. Lomachenko was fighting 3 times a year. And after that, Walters took the fight for even less money. But fight night, he quit in the 7th round, and he could have continued. He wasn't like hurt anything. And keep in mind, weight-wise, he was as big as Lomachenko, maybe even a little bigger. He moved up from 126, just like Lomachenko did. And Lomachenko used to fight 132s in the amateur. So when I saw him quit, I lost respect for Walters, of course. But his reasoning was, you know, of course, he didn't mention the money part. However, he said this fight wasn't on an even playing field because Lomachenko fights 3 times a year, and X-Man hardly fought, like only 1 time a year. And prior to that, it was his longest layoff, right? So because of that, that's probably why he decided to quit, because they did him dirty, right? Now, karma is a bitch, but funny enough, Rigondeaux at the time, I don't know if he knew that all the information. However, he called out Walters saying, "I will never quit in the ring." And he started calling out Lomachenko. However, Rigondeaux been calling him out for the longest, ever since Lomachenko was at 126, like a year or 2 prior to that. And Rigondeaux agreed to move to 126, believe it or not. However, he just asked for the right amount of money, because they offered him $500,000. Which was unfair, because he just fought a mandatory right after that for the same price. So he said, you know, if I'm gonna move up and weight and challenge myself and fight one of the best, and who say he's the best at 126, at least pay me enough, or just as much as Lomachenko, because Rigondeaux had a better resume than Lomachenko at the time, and he was the undisputed, not really the undisputed, but nobody really wanted to fight him, so might well call him the undisputed at 122. He made champions move out of the division. So he wanted to move up in weight to fight Lomachenko, but they lowballed him. So he felt like, nah, they trying to play me, basically. You know, because they only wanted to pay him $500,000 to move up. He at least wanted just as much as Lomachenko getting. And then later, just like Walters, he took the fight for less money. However, even worse, he had to move up 2 divisions now, and he's even older. And he ain't been at that active, period. Like, he was fighting 1 time a year, and the last fight before he fought Lomachenko, it went 1 round. So that makes it even worse because he couldn't even get the ring rust out. So it's not a secret that Rigondeaux been done wrong throughout his boxing career. However, when he moved up before Lomachenko, one thing that disappointed all the fans is the fact that even if he hurt his hand, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he hurt his hand in the second round. Of course, that didn't pay him enough. Unfair match, moving up in weight, blah, blah, blah. However, you go out on your shield. You go for the kill because you know you put yourself into this position and you let them do this to you in a way because you shouldn't have took the fight if you felt that you couldn't have won the fight. However, you want to test yourself, which nothing but respect for that, and I still respect Rigondeaux for that. However, like I said, he should have went out on your shield. You broke your left hand, cool. You still got your right hand. Use your right hand, even though we know Rigondeaux right hand ain't that powerful. However, you know, you got to do what you got to do. You use the left hand to throw to the body, the right hand to throw to the top, and go out on your shield. Either knock Lomachenko out or get knocked out, or even try to survive for 12 rounds. But quitting wasn't the right decision at all, and like that shouldn't even be in any fighter mind. That's why a lot of people starting to questioning what's going on with Lomachenko NoMasChenko, because at the end of the day, these fighters are saying they will never quit. They will die in the ring. And instead, that's what they're doing in the ring. Like I said, Lomachenko made Walters, who's the man who said he will die in the ring, quit. Rigondeaux, the man who said, I will never quit in the ring. I'm not as big as Walters, but my heart is bigger, or something like that. I don't recall exactly what he said on Instagram, but it was something to that. And going into the ring and blaming on your hand and you know, finding a way out. Like I said, even if it was true, Muhammad Ali broke his jaw, even though he trained 2 weeks for that fight. And he went 12 rounds or 15 rounds, but I believe it was 12 rounds because it was before the Frazier rematch. And with a broken jaw, he went 12 rounds with one of the best heavyweight at that time. Even Lomachenko broke his hand and still found a way to win. I know he didn't move up 2 weight divisions and fought Crawford and broke his hand and found a way to win. But at the end of the day, it still happened to him and he still found a way to win. Floyd Money Mayweather broke his hand a couple times, and he even had to switch southpaw to continue fighting and find a way to win versus top fighters. Andre Porto is a perfect example because when he fought Karas, he broke his hand. Matter of fact, I think he broke his shoulder. His shoulder fell off almost when he failed. And the fight wasn't going too well because he got hurt a couple times prior to that. But believe it or not, he got up. He couldn't use the right hand no more because his shoulder fell off almost. I don't know what happened in that fight, but he used his left hand. And believe it or not, he knocked down Karas in the 11th round and almost stopped Karas and got knocked out in the 12th. But you got to respect him because he went out on his shield. You know, and that's all what we asked for Rigondeaux to do. So from the fighter's point of view, I'm starting to get how they're looking at it. I mean, picture this. Walters and Rigondeaux both, they probably looked at it, hey, they lowballed me. I even took a huge gamble. And now, even if I go 12 rounds and win the fight, I still won't get the decision. So, might well find a way out. You know, Rigondeaux find a better way out. Unless we see some x-rays and it's true, then, you know, a lot of people will give Rigondeaux a pass for that because he already moved up 2 divisions. However, like I said, the way they probably looked at it, and there's just from what we know now, because a lot of people saying that, you know, Rigondeaux quit, blah, blah, blah. And as y'all see below from the poll that we did, 80% of y'all think Rigondeaux quit. You know, he didn't break his hand. It was just an excuse. But my point is that they're looking at it, hey, they lowballed us as far as money. We took a gamble. And at the end of the day, even if we go 12 rounds, we won't get a decision, period. But what they didn't look at is the pride and the love that we have for them, because I know Rigondeaux, especially when he went to New York, he was getting mad love. I mean, they flipped on Lomachenko. Everybody was on Rigondeaux's side because they knew that Rigondeaux was done wrong, period, and was the Cinderella Man story. However, at the end of the day, you gotta respect Lomachenko, because Lomachenko displayed a lot of skills. And even after the fight, he didn't say, oh yeah, what's up, all that trash talk, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, all he said was, he's a king at his division, I'm the king at my division, he's too old, and I want fighters my weight, basically. And he was very humble in winning, which you gotta really respect that. However, a lot of people are questioning how come Rigondeaux didn't look the same. I mean, you could lose, but you could still look the same losing. Perfect example, Kovalev. Even in a rematch, he looked better. However, he still quit and lost versus Andre Ward, but that's because Andre Ward accelerated his game. But in this match, is it because of Lomachenko? Of course it's because of Lomachenko. He was two-time gold medalist. A guy too skillful. But it's also because of reflexes, age, weight divisions, and like I always say, it's not because of multiple choice A, which is Lomachenko, multiple choice B, whatever it is, multiple choice C, he never fought that way before, multiple choice D, whatever that is. It's because of multiple choice E, all of the above. All of these reasons is why he looked that way. And I recall when Rigondeaux fought on HBO on the Andre Ward versus Kovalev undercard, and he took a fight in 2-week notice. A lot of people were saying he didn't look the same due to that. However, I told a lot of people he slowed down tremendously. He's not as sharp as he used to be, especially not when he fought Donaire. And like I said, a lot of people thought it was because of the fact that he took the fight in 2-week notice. That's why he looked that way. But you got to remember, the man is getting older. You don't get better as you get older. I mean, it was no reason when Lomachenko, of course he's the bigger guy, when he was using his jab to get in the inside, Lomachenko was, the way he was fighting wasn't just your average fighter, just going in the inside. No, he was using his jab to get in the inside in a very skillful way. But why would you think when Rigondeaux, was it a tactical? Was it his game plan to pressure Lomachenko and not back up, period? It's not like he was fighting Conor McGregor. It's not Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor where you could just pressure him. And then I recall, like I said, when Lomachenko was jabbing and getting in the inside, using his jab in a beautiful way to get in the inside against Rigondeaux. And all Rigondeaux would do is either duck down to his left or hold, right? And when you don't want to fight in the inside because the fighter bigger than you, or he got too many inside tricks for you, what do? If you're trying to fight in the outside, is back up or keep your distance, or before he comes, pop him with a shot to make him respect you, right? Rigondeaux didn't do none of that. Was it because his timing? Yeah, his timing was off, but at the end of the day, one thing he could have did is move and use his feet and fight off the back foot. Instead of letting Lomachenko come in the inside and then you hold him all the time and get a point taken away, and you could have just used your footwork, which we know Rigondeaux has one of the best footworks in the game. He's so fluid on his feet. I mean, I remember in the amateurs, his footwork with the combination with his speed and power is just like flowing. It's like somebody walking on water, period, in the ring. His footwork was just tremendously excellent. However, he just never seemed to use his footwork to establish the distance he wanted, to let off shots and let shots go and let shots fly and counter Lomachenko if he don't want Lomachenko just to walking in and do work in the inside. Was that, like I said, to conserve energy, and because he moved up away, he don't want to just lose a lot of stamina just by moving around, and he want to maintain his stamina throughout the fight? Or was it, like I said, his game plan? But like I said before, it's all of the above. It's that and the fact that he's not really a good aggressive fighter. He's more a better counter puncher and mid-range fighter and outside fighter, and a better fighter off his back foot than going forward. However, Lomachenko, on the other hand, he's a better fighter going forward than off the back foot. And what Rigondeaux found out is that Lomachenko is a great fighter at setting up shots, which make it harder for him to counter him. which, like I said, they both are like the yin and the yang. You know, Lomachenko excels at doing something that Rigondeaux is just good at. Rigondeaux excels at doing something that Lomachenko is just good at. But when that bell rang, Lomachenko did something very impressive. When they first walk in that center of the ring, Rigondeaux is being aggressive, trying to fight like the fans want him to fight. Now Lomachenko, on the other hand, he was circling around and feinting up and down, kind of like he did to Gary Russell, which is very impressive because that type of feinting make you very intense if you're the opponent, because you don't know if he's going to go up or down. And the fact that he's feinting you, he's not extending his arm all the way out, kind of like Rigondeaux does. So you could tell, oh, he not as closest to me, or he's trying to blind me, so I'm going to use my footwork to get out of range. No, he's just feinting up and down. So you just don't know if he's going to go up or down. And then he walked around, like circling around, and then out of nowhere he threw a sharp jab and ducked his head to his left and walked away to his left, which is make it hard to counter. You know, when I first saw that, I was like, man, Rigondeaux better be on his game, because Rigondeaux was trying to pull and counter. You know, pull and counter with the jab, not with the left hand, which is even worse, because you won't get really much out of that. Now, I believe, and that's my opinion, but after watching the fight, I believe that Rigondeaux is better off fighting orthodox fighter. You know, when he fights another southpaw, it makes it harder for him. At least when I saw him fight Lomachenko. When he fight orthodox fighter, because he's so dependent on his left hand, it makes it easier for him to land the left hand, because he uses the right hand to set up shots, and then he lands the left hand on the orthodox fighters. So it makes it easier, especially on the angles and everything. His footwork works better, and the fact that it's easier to land a left hand on an orthodox fighter if you're a southpaw. However, Lomachenko, on the other hand, it seemed like he's great at fighting both. I don't know if he's more comfortable fighting orthodox fighters. It might be that way, but he did pretty good versus Gary Russell, which is a great fighter, and he did pretty good versus Rigondeaux. You know, it don't seem to bother him as much as Rigondeaux. I feel Rigondeaux is better off fighting orthodox fighters than he is when he fought Lomachenko, which is a southpaw. But maybe that's because of Lomachenko's style and the size-wise and everything. However, I do just, in my opinion, I believe he's better off fighting orthodox fighters because it's easier to land the left hand, and he could use the lead hand to set up shots way better. When he was fighting Lomachenko, he had a hard time using his lead hand because it's just not as effective if you're going to use it to control distance and blind your opponent than when you fight orthodox fighters. Plus the fact that Lomachenko lead hand is his dominant hand, while Rigondeaux left hand is his dominant hand. It made it easier on Lomachenko because Rigondeaux was looking for Lomachenko to throw that straight left so he could use the fluid middle to shoulder roll and shoulder roll that left hand and use his own left to counter that. But Lomachenko was very smart about it. He was throwing it every now and then when it was safe, and he was using his lead hand as his jab so precisely and sharp like that it made it hard for Rigondeaux to counter that using his left hand. And when he did, Lomachenko anticipated the counter and got out of the way or blocked it, and he only got caught like literally like 2 or 3 times with counters from that left hand. So that's very impressive by Lomachenko. And the way he did that, he either used his footwork to get out of the way, you know, he back up quick with using his footwork, or move to his left, or he would just, you know, throw himself on Rigondeaux. Like I said, you know, where Rigondeaux ducks all the way to his left, you know, Lomachenko would just throw his weight on Rigondeaux, which Rigondeaux that way will lose his balance, so he can't throw a punch, so he has to hold Lomachenko. And then Lomachenko will look forward to, you know, do some work in the inside, but then Rigondeaux will try to hold him. So the Salido loss really helped Lomachenko in a sense because it got him to understand the dirty tactics and the pro ring and what he can and can't get away with in the boxing ring. Because when he first came from the amateurs, what can you really teach him that he didn't know that's technical, right? However, when it comes to dirty tactics, he didn't know too much about that. And it's not even the dirty tactics, but what can you do at that moment that you could get away with? Bernard Hopkins is a master at that. But think about it. When he fought Salido would hit him low while the referee's on the other side where he can't see him, right? So, Lomachenko was hitting Rigondeaux behind the head, pushing him, putting his weight on him, doing different things, and then applying what he knows that's technical on top of that, which make him very hard to beat. Rigondeaux knows a thing or two, which is pulling behind the head and punching, or putting somebody in the headlock, which is he kind of already knew from the amateurs. Rigondeaux, something that hurt him in this fight, when he holds, he put his arms up, and it's like, yeah, I was holding him, I'm sorry. Like, he never really adapted to the pro rings. He's always too respectful, I believe, because in the amateurs, the Cubans are like very respectful in the ring, and that's part of their system. Is when the referee talks to you, you bend down a little bit and give him the respect, and when you hold in, you put your arms up. But in the pro rings, you can't be doing stuff like that. If you do something dirty, fuck it, you did it. You got to get away with it. But Rigondeaux just seemed to, even when he holds his hands up, which he shouldn't do that. You should even pretend that Lomachenko's doing it. You should tell the referee throwing himself on me or something. So that's something that Rigondeaux didn't really learn in the professionals, and throughout the amateurs, I think it just stayed with him. The amateur system, the respect that you got to give the referee and your opponent, it just sticked with him, which is not a good thing in the professionals, I believe. However, Lomachenko is adapting to the pros as far as rules and what you can and can't get away with better than Rigondeaux is, and as far as doing the dirty tactics, I believe. But during the fight, Lomachenko was just feinting Rigondeaux to death, and then when he think that Lomachenko is about to come in, Lomachenko would just take a quick step backward, and Rigondeaux would try to throw a punch, but then Lomachenko ain't there. And then next time he would just jab his way in, though. He won't just come in just with head movement, because he didn't even have to do that due to his size advantage. So he would use his jab, and then Rigondeaux, it became too repetitive. He started leaning toward his left too many times. In a professional ring, you gotta adjust. If you see your opponent moving a certain way one time, you will expect him to avoid the shot, especially at this level with them two fighting with 2 gold medals. You will expect Rigondeaux to do something else, or use his footwork next time, or pivot, or do something other than just leaning to his left to avoid shots, which he will do every now and then, and he made Lomachenko miss. It's not like Rigondeaux got hurt, so many times. No, if anything, he got hurt during the exchange because he was holding and he hit Lomachenko first, and then he got caught in a little exchange. After that, he was fine, and he never really got hurt. So Lomachenko was just landing the jab and the hook every now and then, and Rigondeaux just never seemed to be able to time it and counter with his own left due to Lomachenko great defense and footwork. But it was also due to Rigondeaux. You could tell his speed wasn't there. It's just his punches just wasn't even as fast as they used to be at 122. His reflexes was offbeat, like I said. But at the end of the day, Lomachenko, on the other hand, was doing too many great things, and that sure didn't help Rigondeaux either. However, the fact that he didn't go out on his shield, that he didn't have that moment in the corner to tell himself, hey, if I'm not gonna win this fight, then I'm gonna give it all in the ring. I remember Gamboa when he fought Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford was 4 inches taller than Gamboa, had 7-inch longer reach, and Gamboa was winning the early part of the round till the 4th round, and then the 5th round, Terence Crawford adjusted because Gamboa will throw a left hook and overextend with his right and drop his left hand when he throws the right. So from the southpaw position, he pivoted and hooked Gamboa when he did that, and he literally almost knocked him out with that shot. Gamboa got up, and he got hurt even worse because he wasn't looking to hold. And after that, Terence Crawford started putting a beating on him almost. But then Gamboa, I think it was the 7th, 8th round. He did it throughout the later rounds. He will come out and just will look for the knockout. He will give it all. And he got knocked down multiple times doing that. People was like, why was he doing that? At least look to survive. At least to look to win off points. But Gamboa realized, hey, either I'm going to win this fight or get knocked out. And that's what Rigondeaux should have did. At least get creative in the ring. Try something different. Rigondeaux, the main thing Lomachenko was landing was his straight jab, right? So either to take away the jab from Lomachenko, either you deflect it with your left hand, deflect it even with your right hand, it don't matter. Just watch out for the straight left after that if you're going to deflect it with the right hand from a southpaw. Or move your head, kind of like Lomachenko was doing. He was avoiding Rigondeaux head most of the time just by moving his head or deflecting it. Or even the footwork, use your footwork. But Rigondeaux didn't try to really, like I said, do something outside of the box. Rigondeaux is a better fighter than what he displayed. But like I said, is due to Lomachenko, the things he was doing, and also due to the disadvantages he came into the fight with. Because I remember when Lomachenko threw a jab, Rigondeaux this time actually countered it with his left. However, I think Lomachenko deflected, or it partially landed, if anything. Then after that, Lomachenko did the same thing, and Rigondeaux threw his left. And then Lomachenko completely avoided it, and then countered Rigondeaux with the jab. So, I know it might not look like, hey, Rigondeaux wasn't even trying at all, but mainly it was a chess game. So it was a mind game, so little things mattered. So if you do something completely out of the box, Rigondeaux didn't know what the incoming will be. Hey, if I just go out and throw a couple left hands, Lomachenko probably got something in the bag for me. He already probably did. And just Rigondeaux didn't want to get caught by it. That's why he never overextended or just do something outside of the box like people wanted him to do. However, like I said, in order to win, you asked for this, so you got to live up to it, But Rigondeaux didn't, and he decided to find a way out instead of giving out all in the ring. We still waiting for the x-ray. If we see the x-ray and we see his hand actually broke, then we'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he moved up a weight and he's the older fighter. And think about it, Lomachenko did fight at 132 in the amateurs, while Rigondeaux fought at 118. So Rigondeaux don't even really fight at 122. He could fight at 118 right now if you want to. You just have that type of high metabolism. He's a small fighter. He could fight at 118, but he don't, because he can't even find a fight at 122. But Lomachenko fought at 132 before. So it's a huge weight difference. So can you picture Lomachenko beating Crawford? So as far as saying Rigondeaux is not a good fighter at all just because he lost to Lomachenko in the fashion that he did, I mean, he didn't even really look too bad in that fight. I don't believe he looked that bad, in my opinion. He lost a lot of rounds. It's just the fact that he wasn't active at all. But that's because of all the disadvantages he had. But at the end of the day, what we disappointed about, what all the people that respect Lomachenko and love Rigondeaux are disappointed about, is the fact is that he didn't give it his all. By giving it your all when what you normally do doesn't work, you got to go to that a little extra level. Deep inside, in that heart of yours, you got to give it your all and go in there, either knock your opponent out or get knocked out. Or at least, if not, try to survive 12 rounds. And if in the process, if you can, hey, you did it. If not, then hey, you lost. That's what even threw me off. At least he could have, the next round could have just moved around, try to, use what he know as far as his footwork, trying to not get cornered and keep Lomachenko at a distance and just survive. At least, the least Rigondeaux could have did was do that. Just survive a boring, not throwing a punch 12-round decision. You know what I mean? So if he couldn't even do that and decided to find a way out instead, that's where a lot of people lost respect for him. And I ain't even gonna lie, even I did too. But hey, the man got treated wrong. Fighters in his own division ducked him. So you gotta give him a pass for this one. I just wanna see how he gonna look at 122 again. You know, versus a top fighter. You know, if he loses to that fighter, then hey, then it's just his age and his, you know, and all the disadvantages that Rigondeaux has at this point. By stalling him out, they killed him. However, if he looks great at 122 versus a top opponent, then that's where you even got to give Lomachenko even more credit. We haven't seen Walters again in the ring. We want to see how he's going to look now. So, credit to Lomachenko, because he even said it. Rigondeaux, too small, too old for me. It's not a big victory. In my opinion, it is a big victory just because it's Lomachenko. He fought Rigondeaux. I mean, Rigondeaux is a fighter who, top fighter throughout his whole career, haven't lost a fight since forever, a dominant champion, never came close to losing. With all the disadvantages Rigondeaux had, if he would have went up against another fighter at 130, I don't know if that Rigondeaux that showed up, I don't know if he could even beat Tevin Farmer, in my opinion, at 130. So, but it's still Rigondeaux. So at the end of the day, Rigondeaux is still a top fighter, and you got to give Lomachenko tremendous credit for doing that. But my top pound-for-pound fighter, number one, is still Terence Crawford at this point, unless Lomachenko beats Mikey Garcia and other great fighters and proves that he's number one. And Terence Crawford looks bad at 147. That's the only way. But Lomachenko could still be the number one. He just got to, you know, beat Mikey Garcia and other top 135 pounders and the top fighters at his weight division too. But the only problem, you know, a lot of people are already saying that Mikey Garcia, you know, they question his heart in the Salido fight. Even though, keep in mind, Salido is the same fighter that beat Lomachenko, but that was the second pro fight. But people are saying that Mikey Garcia, you know, they questioned his heart in that fight and the fact that he stopped it due to his nose. You know, the headbutt that he was trying to find a way out, blah, blah, blah. Even though he was winning the fight, Salido was coming on. So they saying that Lomachenko going to make Mikey Garcia quit. Now, if he could make Mikey Garcia quit, that's a different story, because that's somebody his own size. You know, he's not bigger than Lomachenko, because keep in mind that Mikey Garcia came from 126. He moved up to 130. Moved up to 135, just like Lomachenko is doing. So they around the same size. But till I see Lomachenko make somebody bigger than him weight-wise quit, then I'm going to start questioning a lot of things. Because, I mean, Lomachenko is not a hard hitter, but he throws a lot of punches and he sets a lot of shots well. And then when you don't see a shot coming, that's the shot that hurts you the most. So that's how he be knocking out fighters that he did, like Martinez or whatever. But at the end of the day, if he making fighters quit just off frustration, you got to give Lomachenko a lot of props, because he already did it twice. But a lot of people are questioning, hey, we got to see him when he's not the A side, if he could do that again. But like I said, shout out to Lomachenko for staying humble after winning. And Rigondeaux, hopefully we see an x-ray. Honestly, it will make a lot of people feel better, including me. Now, subscribe below if you want to get smarter by the minute. If you want to get dumber by the second, don't. And listen to these casual ass fans. And peace.